Everybody, we're back. We're back. Both of us are back. Last week I was out.
Yes.
Same kind of scheduling issues that Ben had the week prior. Ben released a video. Our producer Corey didn't get it to him in time. It's fine. No love is lost. And honestly, last week was kind of a stinker. It was there was no real. Except for Mississippi State, Arkansas, which that's a big guy. First time in 2 years we've won an SEC game. It's so nice. Thank you.
Congrats.
So nice. But obviously, I don't know how many of our listeners are also YouTube TV subscribers. Can't watch anything. I was left in the dust of. I had the multi-view that had the TNT game on. Do you know how tough it is to watch the TNT product? I mean, it'd be different if they had like Brian Anderson or one of like Kevin Harlan even. No, I couldn't even name you the list. I couldn't even name the guys who they had on the call. Don't know them. Don't care to know them. Don't care to hear their voices again. Anyway, we're back. College football is somewhat back. We're recording this on Tuesday night, so upon listening to this, you will know the first playoff rankings, and we're going to kind of dive deep into that today. Yep. We had a midseason playoff prediction a couple weeks ago. This week, what we're doing is, because according to DraftKings, 3 teams are locks to make the playoffs. We'll talk about who those 3 teams are, and we'll pretty much agree that those 3 teams are locks. About 6 teams are shoo-ins at this point, unless they really struggle down the stretch to make the playoff. And we're also going to – so that leaves about 3 spots of teams that can make the playoff that you can actually get now at a plus 200 at least market. So we're going to give you our picks for those. And we're also going to dive deep into kind of a iffy slate. But you know what iffy slates get you? Get you upsets. And I hope there's one in a game we're going to talk about. So sit back, relax, listen to the picks, and here we go. Not like we have intro music. But anyway, so Ben, and I guess we can talk, and this can, and then if you want to go off as a former, as a Hugh Freeze, as a fan of a team that used to coach Hugh Freeze has been fired at Auburn. 6-16, which I did not think he was that bad. But I guess he was, and he was only there for, I think this is his 3rd season. But 6-16 in the SEC, gone after pretty much 2 3/4 of a season at Auburn. Of course, the loss to Kentucky is what does him in. And I guess, Ben, so not necessarily the future of Hugh Freeze. The SEC now has 3 openings at arguably top 8. In the top 3 openings that are at, you could argue teams that are in that top 8 historically brand names in the conference, with LSU being open. LSU, Florida, and Auburn now.
I don't a little premature on the Ole Miss being open.
So out of those 3 schools, because we haven't talked at all since, because they've all been back-to-back weeks, and we weren't together after Napier was fired. We obviously weren't together last week after Kelly was fired. Now Hugh Freeze is fired, so this is the first time. And I know I didn't mention this, but I forgot that we weren't together for anything. Of those 3, and also knowing what the history of those 3 has been in pretty much the last 10, 15 years as far as quick turnarounds with head coaches, which of those 3 programs do you think is the most win now ready? And which of those 3 do you think it'll take the right coach who's given the right amount of time? Which I don't think at either 3 stop he's getting. But what's your feeling on that question?
To be honest, this might be surprising. I think Auburn has the best roster today of those 3 jobs. Their defense is a top 20, top 15 defense. Their defensive stat.
And Cam Coleman is only a sophomore, I believe. Now, granted, you get your first major recruiting job that the Auburn head coach is going to do is to Cam Coleman and get him to stay.
I know, yeah.
If that man enters the portal, he is getting offered everything under the sun.
Yeah, I think his freshman year he did some good stuff, but he wasn't quite the Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith caliber player. But
Right.
this year he's kind of
he wasn't the consistent big play guy. Yeah,
he's developed a lot more into somewhat more of that caliber, that expected caliber, because he's obviously 5-star as well. So I think, right, the Auburn roster as it is, if you can retain majority of the players, I think it's better than Florida's roster at the current moment, and I think it's better than LSU's roster at the current moment. The only thing that really, and this is the reason Hugh Freeze got fired, it's really the reason he got hired, was for offense. He got hired to bring in a great offense, and he kept Peyton Thorne for 2 years, which was 2 years too long. He really should never have even brought him in. The guy didn't even do that great at Michigan State. So, I mean, I don't know what the expectation was bringing him to Auburn.
He rode those coattails of Kenneth Walker to a major NIL deal at Auburn, is what he did.
Yeah. So, I mean, so Peyton Thorne struggled, and then obviously you missed this year on Jackson Arnold, who has continued to be a bust. Unfortunately, like, I never wish that on someone, but he was like maybe the number one dual threat, or really high up in the dual threat rankings. And he definitely has shown his legs this year, but his arm has left a lot to be desired. And that's what, as an Ole Miss fan, right, the most important thing in a Hugh Freeze offense is having a strong arm. And he's not had guys. And well, Peyton Thorne's problem he had a decent arm. His problem really was turnovers. That was really what bit him, especially year 2, maybe both years. So he had a turnover-prone QB, and now he has a guy that can't throw, and you're paying him a lot of money. So it's just like miss. So if they get an offensive-minded head coach that can, I mean, there's rumors that Durkin's going to stay at Auburn, but potentially as the head coach,
DC,
potentially even as head coach. But I mean, if they get
So for him, it's pretty much like who's that young OC? No, I'm not going to pretend to know. But who's that young? For them, it's obviously, okay, who's that young OC that maybe isn't getting, maybe like a Jeff Lebby. Like a Jeff Lebby at Ole Miss, he was the OC, but he wasn't calling necessarily all the plays. Lane still had an influence. Then he went to Oklahoma, Lebby did, when Venables got the job, and he became Venables, because he's obviously defensive minded as a coach. He was like, hey, here's the keys to the offense, drive it.
Yep.
And so that's very interesting. Like if they're able to retain Durkin, which that has to be kind of from like the Notre Dame Marcus Freeman play of, hey, we need to keep the recruits we have. And
did I say Venables? I meant Durkin.
Especially now. You said Durkin. It just made me think like, okay, like are they going to go out and get a young offensive minded? But who's that young OC that could come right into the SEC? Like Arbuckle, we thought was that at Oklahoma, and yeah, they've played well. They've shown flashes, but they've also shown flashes of the Texas game. Now, granted, a lot of that might have been the way John Mateer's health was, but the Texas game, even the Ole Miss game, like there was times late in that game where it was like, hey, like, are you gonna throw the ball? Like, are you gonna, like, I know it's you're down to, you think you need a touchdown, but you also need a first down here. Like, let's not just take the deep shot. So, but I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, that kind of popped into my head of if they do retain Durkin, who's that offensive mind that you're not going to become the head coach, you're going to give the keys to the offense. But it's like you got to hit on that, and they got to probably bring in a quarterback.
Yep. So I think Auburn's the best job right now. At the current moment, I would say Florida also has a better roster than LSU. Well, there's so much dysfunction at LSU. Their roster is really good. I would say, I mean, obviously, I think Auburn's the best like win now job. LSU and Florida kind of like neck and neck. Florida has their roster, I would say, is a little bit more young. Like Lagway's still a sophomore. They have Dallas Wilson, who's a stud freshman, whereas LSU brought in a lot of experienced guys. So maybe Florida is the better job just in the terms of like, if you go to that roster, you can bring back those guys, and whereas LSU, a lot of their best players are going to graduate or go to the draft, and so it's like a full rebuild. Right. Like they spent a ton of money this year on experienced guys.
Right, and see, I didn't even thought about it that way because obviously I think you immediately think, okay, it's Auburn or it's LSU, or excuse me, it's Florida or it's LSU. You don't think it's Auburn. But then you brought up a great argument of, well, if you are speaking from a standpoint of like a roster that you can inherit and obtain, and if you obtain a good portion of Auburn's roster, it's kind of plug and play. You're not having, because if you go to whoever takes the LSU job, you're going to have to probably bring in 20 to 30 guys.
Oh yeah.
To replace what you're losing. And if you go to Florida, it's kind of plug and play, but it's also like there's some holes you have to fix, like that are glaring. And it's also you have to kind of at Auburn, there's no question you got to bring in a quarterback. At Florida, it's the looming question. Okay, what's Lagway going to do when the new coach comes in? Is he immediately after the Florida State game hitting the portal, or is he staying, seeing who they hire, and then hitting the portal later? Because obviously it's a different window. It's only like a 2-3 week window, and it's not until like I think late December, early January that it opens. And so you do have some time, but it is interesting. But I think you hit the nail on the head. And the other thing with LSU is that the governor of Louisiana has like probably screwed them out of like 5 or 6 sitting head coaches. Like they're going to end up with, they're probably going to, I'm going to say right now, this is going to shock people. My bold prediction, it's a bold prediction, so if it's wrong, I'm being bold, taking it. I think LSU's next head coach is not going to be is not a current sitting head coach. They're either going to get a guy on the cheap that they're trying to get back into college football, or they're going to get a young upstart OC and kind of pull what Mississippi State's done 2 of the last 3 times that they've gone through a head coaching cycle and bring in a guy who is a sitting OC as the head coach. But honestly, with LSU, and it might sound surprising, I think you got to go defense. And I know in today's day and age, it's like offense. That defense is so bad that it's almost like, do you bring in a defensive-minded head coach and then get, I'm not saying this to ruffle feathers, but get like a Charlie Weiss Jr. Get a guy who maybe like yes, he's the offense coordinator. Yes, he has a lot of input on the offense, but get a guy like that to come in and say, hey, you got the keys. Like, You got the keys to the offense. We're gonna have a $40 million roster. We're gonna stack this team, and we're gonna go play ball. Now, so I think if any coach, this is gonna be not a bold prediction. This is a statement. Lane Kiffin, come November 4th of 2026, Lane Kiffin will be coaching in Oxford, Mississippi, as the Ole Miss head coach. I do not read the tea leaves of, well, he's doing this, he's doing that. I do not think Lane Kiffin will leave. A lot of that has to do with he can do pretty much whatever the heck he wants to at Ole Miss. In terms of, and I explained that my mother-in-law, a little behind the curtain, my mother-in-law is an Ole Miss alum. Because she was like, do you think Lane will leave? I said no. Because the thing is that Lane's at Ole Miss, where if he has like a couple years ago, Ole Miss had kind of a down year. They went 8-5 that first year with Jackson Dart. If you do that at any of these 3 schools we talked about, maybe safe for Auburn if you have the success early like he did at Ole Miss. But if you do that at LSU, they're going to run you out of town. I mean, Brian Kelly won at least 9. Now, granted, he had a heck of a roster, but he won at least 9 games every year he was there, and he still got fired. So it is. I don't think Lane Kiffin is leaving. I think he has it made for him in Oxford. He's about to make the first playoff in school history. He is probably about to be given every cent that Ole Miss has in coaching money. Like, Lane Kiffin is not leaving. But yeah, I rank it Florida, Auburn, LSU, mainly because of the situation at LSU in the terms of you're going to have, yes, it's going to be easy to recruit at LSU in terms of like saying, hey, we're LSU. But it's also like, the amount of ready-made talent you have at those other two places is vastly different than you have at LSU in terms of who's going to stay. Because a lot of LSU guys are either, like you said, either going to the draft or graduating or entering the portal.
Yep.
And that's mainly because of Brian Kelly. But yeah, so we did want to kind of play that because we had not spoken pretty much since we had not had a show with both of us since the firings in the SEC started. And so now we're going to get into the segment we teased at the top. So this is according to DraftKings. There are 3 teams that DraftKings, according in the college football playoff, they do not have odds for it, meaning according to DraftKings, they are locks. That is A&M, who I believe is 8-0, and their remaining schedule is, they play Texas at the end of the season. Their remaining schedule is they travel to Missouri this weekend. That's the game we're going to talk about. They travel to Missouri, South Carolina at home, Stanford at home, and then at Texas and Indiana, who, of course, they have Penn State this week, and then they have a couple more Big Ten bottom feeders to finish out the regular season. And then there's, of course, Ohio State, who does not have odds either. Those two pretty much are on a collision course for Indy in the Big Ten title game. And then it starts with teams with odds are Alabama minus 1,000, Ole Miss minus 900, Georgia minus 500, Notre Dame minus 370, Oregon minus 350, and Texas Tech minus 300. So those are the teams that if they don't completely fall off a cliff and drop a couple games, they're probably going to make the playoff. The odds with money that we're going to consider, because we consider teams that were plus 700 and above, or and below, I should say. BYU plus 160. They are undefeated, but they do travel to Lubbock, and they're 10.5-point dogs in that game. Texas at plus 200. Louisville plus 220. South Florida plus 230. Georgia Tech 250. As Georgia Tech and North Texas are both at plus 250. North Texas, the top G5 team. Duke plus 320, Miami plus 330, Memphis plus 350, Oklahoma plus 370, James Madison, Virginia both at plus 400, and then Vandy plus 450, USC plus 500, Utah plus 6, and Michigan plus 7. And I gave Ben the task of naming me 3 teams, and I listed my 3 teams as well. We're not gonna snake draft it. We're just gonna go one by one. Ben, who is the top rated team of that group, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 teams? Who those, according to these odd makers, now you can there's BYU, but BYU, I guess, still has a decent chance because, like I said, but I don't think BYU makes the playoff. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I think they lose to Texas Tech, and they did the same thing last year. They started 8-0 and then dropped 3 of the last 4. I think they're in for that same kind of collapse this season. So I didn't even consider them. But of those teams, pretty much from Texas to Michigan, who is your top-rated team that you think will make the playoff?
Georgia Tech.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, their schedule was always easy.
Right.
They were bound to lose one of these games, but
they do have Georgia, though, at the end of the season. So you're pretty much probably going to need them to either beat Georgia or definitely win the ACC.
Yeah.
So you're saying they're winning the ACC, or you're saying they're beating Georgia?
Either one. I think if they beat,
you don't want to go.
I mean, I think if they beat Georgia and go 11-1 and lose, they're still probably in. But
oh no, yeah. If they beat Georgia, they're definitely in, regardless of what happens in the ACC title game.
So I think one or the other, maybe both, but
I think they beat Georgia. Georgia's not making the playoff.
Wait, you have Georgia Tech too?
I don't have Georgia Tech.
Wait, who did you say? Sorry.
You've been on. I said Georgia's not making the playoff.
You don't think Georgia's making the playoff?
I don't. We'll get into that later. I don't think Georgia's making the playoff.
Oh, because you think they're losing to A&M and... Is it A&M and Georgia Tech?
I'm teasing it. I'm trying to get them to listen later in the show. I'm teasing what I'm doing.
Okay.
They'll lose to Georgia Tech, and I'll tell you where they're losing the other game. Okay?
Okay, I got you.
Mine is, and this is my G5 team. I think it's James Madison. This is why I say it's James Madison. The Sun Belt is a good conference, good G5 conference. It's not the best. Okay, like we can all say that it's not the best. I listed in that group. Let me try to get the math right. Oh yeah, because I said Memphis. 3 teams from the American.
Yep.
They all have to end up. Now Memphis plays Tulane this week. We'll talk about that as well. I think the American is going. They're going to have the best G5 team is going to be from the American, but they're going to have 2 losses. James Madison, I think, only has 1 loss on the season. They can eat now. So that's where the committee is going to have to make a decision. Okay, are we going to put in a 1-loss team that they have the better record? They're 12-1. They won their conference, yes. Or are we going to put in a team that has 2 losses? Whereas, because South Florida already has 2 losses, they lost, and they have the best odds of any G5 team. They lost to Memphis, and they lost in the regular season matchup, and they lost to Miami. So South Florida can't lose another game. North Texas can't lose another game. Memphis can't lose another game. All of these teams, in some way, play each other. So I don't think the G5 team comes to the American. I think the American does what they did last year to themselves and cannibalize and knock themselves out. I think James Madison gets in as the G5 bid, and you can get that at plus 400.
Nice.
Who's your number 2?
My number 2 goes against what you just said. I have North Texas. I just think, their offense
That's fine. Hey, that's fine.
Their offense is super.
Their offense is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Their offense is ridiculous, and I don't know if they have a loss yet. I think that
they have
they're
one.
really solid.
Maybe
because they beat.
Yeah, one or they beat
USF, right? So
they lost to South. They lost it. Did they lose to USF? We're a great show, guys.
Oh yeah, South Florida destroyed them, didn't they? That's right.
They lost to USF because that was like that 60-35 or 60 something to whatever. Talking about, or who are we talking about? North Texas?
Yeah.
Because honestly, South Florida might lose this weekend. I mean, UTSA is a good team.
Yeah, they just destroyed.
North Texas has one. They just destroyed Tulane. North Texas remains scheduled is at UAB, at Rice, and then Temple to end the season. And then they'll have, if they win out, they'll have the American title game.
Where they get their revenge against USF and get into the playoff.
Probably. Well, no, because if think about it, if all 3 of those teams win out, USF will be out because Memphis will have the tiebreaker. Because all 3 of them have a loss in conference. North Texas might be out, or I don't know what they would do.
Because USF beat Memphis.
USF
beat North Texas. Memphis beat North.
USF beat North Texas, and Memphis beat USF, but North Texas and Memphis did not play.
Yeah.
Because Memphis' one loss is UAB.
Yeah.
My number 2 is trying to get this back on the rails, guys. We're sorry. My number 2 is the team I think is going to win the ACC, and that's Louisville. I think they have the easiest schedule of any of those ACC teams, and they beat Miami already. Now, obviously, that game, if they were to meet again, would be a neutral site. But their remaining schedule is Cal at home, Clemson at home, at SMU, which SMU could muck around and mess up the ACC entirely because they just beat Miami. And then they have Louisville. They close the season hosting Kentucky. That'll be a blowout. So I think that.
Bless you.
I think Louisville wins the ACC. I think Louisville wins the ACC.
Okay. Fair enough. It'd probably be.
And who's your last team?
Probably be Georgia Tech, Louisville in the championship game.
Yeah.
I have Vanderbilt.
Which, hey, Georgia Tech might still get it. You got Vandy, so you think Vandy wins out?
I do.
They have a They have a pretty easy schedule. The only thing with Vandy is they have to go to Neyland, and I don't know if they've beaten one in Neyland since I've been alive. So now, granted, Tennessee probably giving up on the season. But my last team is the team that I think is going to get to the Big 12 championship. Team that I think is going to win the Big 12.
Let's just
continue. Sorry.
Tennessee's talking about firing Josh Heupel right now.
That's okay. Like,
what are we doing?
Tennessee, listen.
What are we doing?
I understand. I understand. You want to feel like it's 98. Listen, 98 was almost 30 years ago. Okay, it hasn't felt like 98 since it was 99. Okay, I understand that you have Josh Heupel has gotten you to where you are a consistent playoff contender. You're not going to make it this year. That sucks. That sucks. You know who's also not going to make it this year? 120 other teams. Because I think there's 135 and there's only 12 teams. 120 other teams aren't going to make the playoff. It's okay. Because you can tip your hat and say, hey, we made it before Ole Miss, we made it before A&M, we made it before all these teams. They're probably going to make it this year. Made it before Vandy, Vandy is now our team we have to throw into that group. Let's calm down, okay? I get you lost, and I get you lost at home to Oklahoma. Wait for him to have a Hendon Hooker again. And what I mean by that is what Aguilar does better that Ilamiava didn't is he throws the deep ball consistently. But what he also does that Hendon Hooker didn't do is he turns the ball over a lot. And you knew that was an issue when you brought him over from the App State UCLA, that whole debacle. You knew that he had turnover issues. But you also knew this is a 1-year stopgap between whoever the Nets guy is. Now, is the Nets guy another transfer guy? Is the Nets guy one of these 5-star freshmen that you're recruiting? Is the Nets guy on the roster? That's up for Heupel to decide. But let's pump the brakes because honestly, if we talked about 3 SEC teams that 2 of them probably are firing people too quickly in terms of Florida's in this position because they fired Dan Mullen after 1 bad season. LSU's in this position because they hired the wrong guy. When they go, Notre Dame sitting head coach wants our job? Sure, heck yeah, we'll hire him. You hired the wrong guy. Auburn's in this position because you probably never should have fired Malzahn. It's also the football gods and maybe the big man himself, the big G, getting back at you for trying to make up an affair about Brian Harsin and trying to not have to pay him his buyout. Maybe that's why you're sucking Auburn. Okay, so Tennessee, if we want to talk about, yes, let's fire a coach 1 year after he makes the playoff. And you know who's going to take that job? Nobody. No one's going to want that job because you're going to set the bar. Hey, we only make the playoff. You know who hasn't made the playoff and is a good head coach? And that's until this season, obviously. Lane Kiffin hasn't made the playoff. He's a good head coach. Mike Elko, he's a pretty good head coach.
Jeff Lebby.
He hasn't made the playoffs.
Jeff Lebby's a good coach.
Jeff Lebby, really good coach. Kyle Whittingham, one of the best coaches in our time, hasn't made the playoff. Looking at other teams. Yeah, that's pretty much. Well, Lincoln Riley made the playoff, but he made it when he had the Oklahoma tomato cans. So let's pump the brakes on wanting to fire a guy 1 year after he makes the playoffs. Give him a couple more seasons, and then let's go from there. But what do you do? So I like that Vandy pick. But my third team, the team I think is going to win the Big 12, and I think the team that's going to get the Big 12 to have 2 teams. And it's a team that me and Ben, before this podcast, Ben crapped on their quarterback, but the quarterback is playing ball. Give me Utah, because what did I talk about when I said BYU? I said I think BYU is going to drop out. What is the only way that Utah can pretty much make the Big 12 title game? It's if they don't have to have a tiebreaker against BYU. Utah is sitting right now. I believe they're 7-2. They have 2 losses in conference to Texas Tech and to BYU, 2 teams that are at the top of the conference. They close their season. Does Utah at Baylor, Kansas State, and then at Kansas. You win all 3 of those games, in my opinion, you're making the Big 12 title game because I think BYU loses this weekend. They also face TCU at home. TCU's a live team. They have to go to Cincinnati. BYU can honestly lose the next 3 games. And what happens if that happens? Utah, you're in the Big 12 title game, and I think you win the rematch against Texas Tech because you actually score points, and you make the playoff. So I wanted a big money type play. There it is. Utah plus 600 makes the playoff.
Okay.
All right, so now that gets us into our games of the week. We only are doing 4 this week because, as I mentioned, kind of a iffy-ish slate. Not the best. We only have 2 ranked-on-ranked matchups, and one of those is, in my opinion, is going to be an absolute beatdown. But we'll get to that. But we'll start out with the game that's going to be played first in our group, and that is the Memphis Tigers on Friday night under the lights in Memphis, which we all would love to be. I mean, that's the best place to be under the nights, in the lights, because you won't get robbed. Is Tulane Green Wave at the Memphis Tigers. Memphis favored by 5.5. Over under set at 55.5. I'm going to start it. Give me the Green Wave. Give me Tulane. Give me Jake Retzloff. Give it to me. Give me the point. Give me money line. Give me the over. Memphis does not have a defense. We all know they don't have a defense. And we just talked about how the American cannibalizes themselves. The cannibalization starts this week. And that's how Ben's going to get his North Texas pick. That's how they're going to get into the playoff because they're going to win. Or that's how he thinks they're going to get into the playoffs because Memphis is going to drop out and then it'll be a USF North Texas rematch. But yeah, Tulane, I think Retzloff, they haven't won. They've been in all these close-ish games, but they just got blown out. And so it's like, okay, you're talking about a team that got blown out on a Thursday in at UTSA. They're back on the road. They have to travel to Memphis. The Memphis has one of the longest active home win streaks. It ends on Friday night. Give me the Tulane Green Wave plus 5.5. And honestly, money line's at plus 180, 168. Give me that.
I'm actually going to trail you on that because I think Memphis is just, they lack the clutch gene. They always choke. So I kind of agree. And no, sorry, producer Corey, but I think Memphis is going to struggle in this game. I'll also take the points, and I would.
I'm surprised one of his locks wasn't Tulane because he faded them against USF when they were in this similar kind of spot.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think he honestly was like, oh, I'll just fade. So I'm surprised that wasn't one of his locks.
Well, maybe they're overlooking Tulane because Tulane just got beat by UTSA, and like Tulane's 2 losses are to Ole Miss big and UTSA big, and so if they're not getting blown out, they're winning, and I think it's going to be a close game. So right. Tulane gets the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah. I love the Green Wave in this spot. Memphis always finds a way to lose. Whenever Memphis, because you mentioned choke, it's like whenever Memphis has their destiny in front of them, and it's like, hey, you went out, you're going to the playoff. Like last year, they had the most hyped roster of any team in the G5. They had the quote best quarterback in the G5. They had all that. They still found a way to lose. I think 2 or 3 times, still and lost and knocked themselves out of the playoff. And I think they get knocked out of the playoff this week on Friday against Tulane. So yeah, give me the Green Wave to me in the money line. The other, this is the top 10 matchup that you couldn't tell by the spread.
Yeah.
Texas Tech hosting BYU. It's where game day is. The Red Raiders are favored by 9.5. 9.5. And I'm looking at it on FanDuel. It's minus 122, which means that thing's about to flip to 10. And at least 10, maybe 10 and a hook. So give me...
Yeah, I think it's already 10 on DraftKings. Because that's what
Bleacher
Report uses, I believe.
Yeah, it might be already 10 some places. So give me the under to give me the under to start. I think both teams have really good defenses. But give me BYU to cover. Give me Texas Tech to win the game. I think this is I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. I think it's going to be a really good game because it's the game of the year in the Big 12. And we talk about desperate teams. BYU, though they are 8th in the country, though they are undefeated. Now we don't know how the playoff is looking right now, and I can't watch it because of YouTube TV. Thanks, YouTube TV and ESPN. Can we get this fixed? Like, for the love of all that is holy in this world, please get this fixed. I don't want to have to watch TV at .co to watch Mississippi State this weekend. Which, actually, I'm working, so I won't be able to watch the game at all. But I want to watch the replay. And I'll get to why I want to watch the replay in a little bit. So, yeah, give me the BYU plus whatever they're at. But give me give me Texas Tech to win the game and give me the under at 52.5.
I actually am leaning into, like, looking at the spread. It's like, oh, this is too big, But I think that the spread is big for a reason. I think Texas Tech, their edge rushers are going to get after Bachmeier, the freshman quarterback, and give him fits all day. And I just don't know that BYU has seen quite the caliber defense that Texas Tech is going to throw at them. So I think Texas Tech is going to honestly kind of pull what they did against Utah, where they're going to kind of just maybe competitive first half and then second half pull away. So I think
blow them out. Yeah.
I think they cover the 10. Probably not in the first half, but in the second half, I think they will. And I think the under's a fun play. So yeah.
Yeah,
Texas Tech to win regardless, but I think we differ on the spread.
No, you changed me. Give me Texas Tech minus 9.5. I just remembered that Utah. That BYU, I was trying to think. Well, BYU's played Utah, but every tough team they've played at home. This is their first road game against a tough team, and honestly, yeah. And I have some ADHD, so I have short-term memory. I forgot that I was buying into the Utah BYU collapse, and I think, like I said, it starts this week with a loss. I think it's going to start with a blowout loss. So give me Texas Tech plus whatever or minus whatever. You're right. I've completely forgot. And also, quarterback's wearing number 47. Like, what are we doing? It didn't work. It hasn't worked. I know Shea Patterson did it at Ole Miss. He wore 20. The Indiana kid, like, about 10 years ago, wore 21. You're not – like, what are we doing? Like, it also 47, like, what? Like, no.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
47 is about how many times – 47 is going to be the amount of times that Rodriguez get him blanking on his first name. Punches the ball out is what's about to happen. Full heel turn there. Okay, and then our other range on right to matchup. Texas A&M minus 7.5, might be minus 6.5 at some books because it is plus 102 at minus 6.5 on FanDuel. Traveling to Columbia, Missouri. Missouri going to be starting a true freshman quarterback who I cannot tell you his name. Last time we saw Missouri, Bukbula got hurt. He's out for the season, or we presume he's out for the season. And their freshman quarterback almost threw a Hail Mary that got caught at the 1-yard line, but Kevin Coleman just couldn't get that extra inch. Former Mississippi State Bulldog, because they're everywhere in the SEC. I think Zach Arnett, even though he played last season. But anyway, still. Give me A&M minus 7.5. We talked about this a few weeks ago when we talked about guys that might get to New York in the group chat, and we talked about Mendoza. Sands probably in New York as well. Ty Simpson's probably in New York. I think Marcel Reed booked his ticket for New York in one of these next few games, and I think it starts this Saturday. Give me Marcel Reed to go off I mean, it could honestly. I mean, and we've seen them go into hostile environments and blow the team out. They did it 2 weeks ago when they went to Death Valley, blew out LSU more than I've ever seen LSU lose at a home game. Was that game a couple weeks ago? So give me A&M minus the 7.5. Over under is set at 48.5. That could honestly go either way. It depends on if LSU's offense wants to actually blow it out, and honestly depends on if LSU's defense wants to play the whole 60 minutes. So I'd probably now freshman quarterback leans me to under, just because LSU just decides to just decapitate the kid. It could, which I'm not condoning. I'm just saying they could. If LSU just decides to play games with the kid, it probably could be an ugly 42 to nothing kind of game. So give me A&M big. I love it at plus 40 at 7.5. I'll take it every day.
Yeah, I agree.
Might alt it. Who knows?
I agree with you. I think Texas A&M blows Missouri out. I don't know about the over/under, but Missouri starting the freshman quarterback. Texas A&M's looked dominant all year. I don't think that changes, especially against a Missouri team that kind of had their season end 2 weeks ago against Vanderbilt. So, I mean, if Vanderbilt can beat them by 7, I think Texas A&M can beat them by 20. So,
all right, here we go. Ben, sit back. You're not gonna sit back. Corey,
I'm sitting way back.
We wanted fireworks. We wanted to pop off in our first show back with the two of us. Georgia minus 7.5. Over under set at 57.5. Traveling to Starkville, Mississippi. An 11 a.m. kick. I want to take everyone back. The year was 2016. Texas A&M strolled in, number 4 in the country, saying, hey, I only lost to Alabama. We win. This is back in the 14 playoff. Hey, we went out. We might go to the playoff. Mississippi State was 3-6. Looked terrible. Beat the brakes off of A&M that day. Not saying beat the brakes off of Georgia, but I said Georgia wasn't making the playoff. Said they were losing to Georgia Tech. They're losing Saturday in Starkville. Mississippi State. We finally got an SEC win. First time in 2 years. We have yet to get an SEC home win since 2022. RIP, Mike. We are winning the football game. Plus 255. Give me all of it. Give me the points. Give me the money line. We are winning the football game. That's only if Brandon Walker doesn't go, because Barstool's College Football Show is going to be at the game. Brandon, I'm going to need you just to go to the PJ that Dave got for everybody and watch the game on the ride back. For the love of God, do not step foot in the stadium, because if you do, you're going to go on the field, and then they're going to catch a touchdown, the game-winning touchdown in your face. Give me Mississippi State money line. We are winning the football game. We are going to a bowl. We are bowl eligible after Saturday. If I had my cowbell upstairs, I would ring it.
I love the passion. I won't go as far as saying y'all will win, but I think that
we're 8-1 against the spread. We are one of the if you are betting Mississippi State week to week, you are making money.
Yeah. I mean, so Mississippi State's always been close in all these games. So keeping that in mind, and then keeping in mind that Georgia has not been a super dominant team, I think it leans that Mississippi State's.
Look where Corey just sit in the group chat. Look at it. It's the quote from Jeff Levy. We need 60,000 shaking cowbells and have a rowdy atmosphere and have as rowdy as atmosphere in the country on Saturday. We are winning the football game.
That's electric.
He bought 500 tickets, and his players bought them as well to give away to student organizations because Georgia had too many tickets available, and he didn't like that. Now, honestly, if I had the funds and if I didn't have to work on Saturday, I'd be at the game. But you know what? Someone's got to sell the chicken at Chick-fil-A. So I will be at the game. I will be on my phone. If some kickoff. And if any of these little snot brats that I work with, actually they're not snot brats, they're pretty good kids. Shouldn't say that on a podcast. But if any of these little kids try to talk to me, I'm going to say, figure it out yourselves.
That's right. Yeah, I'll go Mississippi State covers, but I'm not going as far as win.
Listen, that's all I need. Hey, give me 9-1 against the spread. Also, it's about time we won one of these games at home. Like, Tennessee lost in overtime. Texas lost in overtime. Had chances to win both. Don't get me started on the Florida fiasco. I said that in my solo podcast. We are winning the football game. And that takes us to Lock of the Week, where I did not touch Mississippi State because I like to give our fans picks that they can also get behind. I will read off Ben's locks. By the way, guys, I've been on a heater. I started 1-7, and I'm now like 4-8. So creeping back up to 500. I'll be 6-8 at the end of this week, if you ask me. So Corey went with Auburn plus 6.5 at Vandy, and then he went UAB money line at plus 116 at Rice. I don't know if that's a system play because he saw UAB break their hearts. Actually changing one of mine. Mine is Duke minus 9.5, and then I saw this pick earlier, so I have to make sure I get the spread right. And then they're traveling to Hawaii, but the San Diego State Aztecs, they're a wagon. Talked about Mississippi State 8-1 against it, or 7-1 against the spread. No, 8-1, and then San Diego State 7-1 against the spread. I think they're 8-1 after Saturday. Give me San Diego State minus the 6.5. If you didn't, obviously we weren't able to post last week, I believe, and they did cover last week, and they're one of my locks. Also, quick shout out, the New Mexico Lobos, bowl eligible, wagon. Ben's wagon is going bowling, baby.
Love it.
All right, so that is our 4 plays. Ben, what are your 2 locks?
Mine, we already talked about Texas Tech covering minus 10 or whatever it is, 9.5. So I think that's one. And then I have Wake Forest covering the plus. I saw it's plus 6.5. But it might be something different one.
Who do they play?
Wake Forest plays...
Let me get the...
I don't have it handy. Someone ranked, I think, in the ACC.
Is it someone ranked?
Yeah. Virginia, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Virginia.
I think it is Virginia. Yeah, plus 6.5. Honestly,
thought about money line, but
that might be live. Yeah, I was about to say they might be live to win the game.
Yeah.
But we'll go 6.5 just to make everybody feel safe. So our podcast lock parlay is Auburn minus 6.5, UAB money line, Duke minus 9.5, San Diego State minus 6.5, Texas Tech minus 9.5, might be 10.5 by the time it kicks off, and then Wake Forest plus 6.5. My solo parlay, I just went with 4 picks, and I didn't alter this time. My solo parlay is West Virginia. That's a game I took off because I wanted to save for this. They're playing Colorado. Colorado is an absolute dumpster fire. And as long as Deion Sanders keeps starting the Salter kid, I am fading them in whatever they do. Minus 6.5. West Virginia is against Colorado. I have the over in the Georgia-Mississippi State game. Mississippi State's defense can be absentee at times. So I think this game is a shootout. But again, hey, here's a lock of the week. The Bulldogs are going to win that game. Ha, ha, ha. Because they're both Bulldogs. Ohio State team total over 38.5. And then San Diego State Aztecs, mentioned that my lock, minus 6.5. That is plus 112. Plus 1214 on FanDuel. Also, our squad parlay is plus 50, 67. So a $10 bet wins you over $500. Ben, what is your parlay?
I just did an all SEC, so I got Mississippi State covering. I did an all plus 10.5. Just because I feel like if they lose by 10, it's still a good one. And then Texas A&M covers theirs. Auburn covers covers theirs. I did plus 7, altered it to plus 7.5 just to get if they lose by a touchdown. But I do think like with the interim coach bump, we didn't really talk about like Corey had the Auburn in our lock of the week. I also think that with the interim coach bump that they could cover as well. And then I have Bama covering plus 12.5 as an alt. And that is $10 wins 110. So 1,100 plus 1,100.
Ooh. Yeah, so, and folks, listen. It's all about making money, but it's all about friendships. And friendships are made on Saturdays. So kick back, relax, and let's hope the friendship between ESPN, ABC, Disney, whatever it is that's making this decision, YouTube TV, let's hope that friendship mends, because I'm already a little upset that I've been reduced to highlights to relive the Mississippi State masterpiece on Saturday, the fourth quarter comeback. But I will say this in front of God and everybody. I will storm whichever building I need to. Mississippi State wins this game, and I'm at work, and I can't watch every week, and I can't watch the replay. I will storm YouTube TV. Or YouTube, I guess. I will storm Google. I will storm ESPN, Disney. I will storm Disneyland, and it won't be good. I will write. I will picket fence. I will be on strike, because if this continues to happen and Mississippi State wins this game, I personally will make all your lives a living HE double hockey stick, okay? I will tweet at you. I will find out who makes these decisions, and I will tweet at you. Now, I'm not a sociopath, so I will not tweet at your family. I will tweet at you, and I will tell you to get your crap together. Okay? So ESPN, Disney, whatever it is, and YouTube TV, let's have that friendship be ended. Because I have to pay $30 for this Hulu, ESPN plus whatever. I'm not doing it.
Right.
But that's the show. That's the podcast. We hope it was a banger. Corey, I think it was.
Yes, sir.
We hope that's back on the YouTube. Though we should be boycotting YouTube, but we gotta put this out somewhere to the masses. But check us out on Spotify. Check us out on the YouTube. Check us out on the Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We will be putting out our plays on Friday morning, because some of our plays include some Friday bets. And be on the lookout for Friday bets. Be on the lookout for Saturday bets. Be on the lookout for Sunday bets. Also, college basketball is back, and this show will include some of that, so we can actually keep this puppy going. So we'll probably just do a weekly show and hit you with just some recaps, and we might take some marquee matchups as we get into the Mauis and all that jazz. So be friends, and good night.
Night.